Hey, what's going on, guys? Ryan Nelson here, and a few weeks ago I put up a video asking for your questions about the R5. So this is the answer part of that video. So now I'm answering your questions about the R5, and let's get right to it. So let's do that. So Jake VX1K asked, how do you recommend nailing the exposure on the R5? Well, for the R5 and pretty much any other new camera, newish in the past 5 or 10 years, let's go 10 years back. Why not? The cameras are generally good enough. I mean, they're really good at gathering the information, the light, the exposure, all that, giving you a really good exposure if you're shooting on a semi-automatic setting, say like an aperture priority, which I shoot a lot when I'm shooting photos in situations like this, outdoor adventure type stuff. It's really easy to mess up your exposures real quick. So I use a aperture priority for that. If I'm shooting videos, sometimes I will shoot in shutter priority. That just ensures that I'm really, really close to where I want to be. If you want to shoot manual, if you insist on shooting manual, best recommendation is just take your time. Don't try to rush it because you will blow exposures like nobody's business. I tried that for a long time and I just missed a ton of shots. So I've gone to shooting aperture and shutter priority. A really helpful tool for using full manual settings is to use your histogram. Just pop that up on the back of your camera. If you don't know how to use that, I would suggest taking a little bit of time, learning how to read it, learning how to use it. And then once you learn how to read that, you'll learn how to set your exposures more properly in a manual setting. So that's my recommendation. Getting a little cold in the breeze here. So Sarah Vanakumar, did I pronounce that correctly? I'm really bad with names, so I hope I did. So Sarah asked about the file size between the RAW photos and the C-RAW photos. So in my experience here, I wrote this down somewhere. Got it. Got it right here. That hair. In the RAW versus C-RAW that I have, my range is for C-RAW 17 to 25 megabytes per photo, and for the RAW, I have about 36 to 60 megabytes per photo. Now those aren't exact numbers, that's just kind of the range of what I had in the photos that I took. So if you are worried about your computer processing these photos, I would recommend, if you do get this camera, shoot C-RAW. On the R6, I did a comparison between RAW and C-RAW. I honestly noticed like zero difference between the two. And with a much smaller file size, that's going to save you a lot of processing power, a lot of hard drive space. And for the R5, I have taken some samples yet, but I haven't really looked at them in detail. That will be in my R5 review video. It will also be in my R5 versus the R video. So I'll be talking about those samples in those two videos. So keep an eye out for that. So David asks, if you have the camera on and you want to change the lens, does it close the shutter to protect the sensor? No, it does not. Best thing to do if you want to change your lens, just turn the camera off, change your lens, and then turn the camera back on again. That's the best way to do that. Protect that sensor. So Quame Ryan, I'm pretty sure I butchered the first part of that. The second part, I'm pretty sure I nailed that because, yeah, that's my name and all. So you ask, do the colors match out of the R5 and the R? So far in my experience, they're very close. It's not noticeable, at least right off the bat, it's not noticeable. It's not like putting Sony A7 footage next to an EOS R. Those don't match at all. In fact, I've been able to take the LUT that I've created for my studio work and drop that right on the R5 and it looks fantastic. So yeah, they match pretty well. And that camera drop, it wasn't the R5. There's no way I was going to drop that. Not intentionally anyway. So glad you liked it. So German Shepherd Mom says, I got mine yesterday and it hasn't stopped raining. I'm kind of jealous because it hasn't rained at my house since March. Been pretty dry. Just dry. So I'm a little jealous. Not a question, but fun fact. So Film 2.0 asks, when you switch into log, can you change between 8-bit and 10-bit? So as far as I can tell, you're only able to shoot 10-bit when you're filming. This sun is really bright. I'm putting my sunglasses on. So as far as I can tell, you can only shoot 10-bit while you're in log. I don't see anything in the camera allowing you to switch back to 8-bit. So if you're concerned about file size, I would recommend shooting in IPB instead of all eye mode. In the little bit of testing I've done with that, it's actually really, really good. I don't really notice much of a difference, or I haven't yet. So if you're concerned about file size and you want to shoot log, maybe consider shooting IPB. And then you ask about the overheating. So far, I've not had any overheating issues. The one time I intentionally overheated the camera, I was shooting 20 minutes of 8K recording, which is just kind of absurd. It was like 200 gigabytes of data, and just like, yeah, the computer to handle that is going to be like way more expensive than this camera. Also, you might try, if you're editing on a Mac, transcoding that into a ProRes. I was kind of got off base. So far, I haven't had any overheating. The next 2 days, I will be shooting a little bit of a documentary. So if I have any overheating issues, I will pop my face in right now and tell you if I do. And if I don't, then you will only see this face. You'll see the face in the studio. If it overheats, you could just see me right here. It didn't overheat. Okay, I hope that answers that. So Justin Lane asks about the autofocus hit rate versus the R. So my experience, the autofocus has been phenomenal on the R5, even in low light. I know a lot of people think that the higher megapixels are going to have much less low light autofocus capability, but so far in my experience, it locks right onto something. Just the tiniest little speck, you can focus right on that. So actually with that question, I'm not sure if you're referring to photo or video mode, but in both cases, the R5 has been just absolutely phenomenal with the autofocus. The one thing I did notice with shooting this video actually is when I was shooting 8K, it was actually missing focus just a little bit more frequently than I think it should have been. But then again, I was pretty small in the frame. Autofocus on the R5 has been great, better than the R, and I really had no complaints with the R. So take that for what it's worth. Next. So Lilo asks, what's the difference between 4K HQ, which is 4K fine, which is basically a downsampled 8K into a 4K package? How does that look on YouTube? I don't know. We're going to find out right now. So this is the 4K HQ recording, and then this is the 8K recording. How does this look on YouTube? I don't really know quite yet. I'm not going to know until this is uploaded and you can watch it along with me. So put that down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this recording. If it looks better, worse, the same, similar, what do you think about it? I don't know. Let me know. I'm guessing it's going to look very similar, if not no different at all. So just my guess. All right, guys. Well, that's your questions answered. I hope that helps. If you found that useful, I would really appreciate if you use the links down below in the description. That helps this channel. That helps me make these videos that hopefully help you. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask, drop that down in the comments. I will be making plenty more videos about the R5, comparing it against the R, the R5 itself, kind of diving in depth with the settings of this. So if you want to see more of that, hit that subscribe button down there. Do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up if you like this video. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys next time.